Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a pivot that is honestly blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually, when we talk about small businesses, especially laundromats, we're talking about efficiency. How to save on water, how to fix a coin jam.
Chasing quarters.
Exactly, it's a game of quarters. But today, we're talking about a complete transformation of that model. We're looking at how your average neighborhood laundromat can stop chasing those quarters and start landing, well, massive insurance claims. We're digging into restoration laundry.
It's a fascinating shift. Most people see a laundromat and they see a passive income stream.
Right, quarters, soap machines, maybe some fluff and fold.
Very transactional. But there's this whole other layer to the industry that's much more like emergency services than it is retail. It's high stakes, high margin, and frankly, it demands a completely different level of professionalism.
You're not just cleaning clothes, you're salvaging assets.
Precise.
And to guide us through this, we're unpacking a master guide and this really incredible project called AIforlaundromats.org. It's from Nicholas Gomez at Super Clean Laundry.
It's essentially a business in a box.
It is. A way to transition a shop from basic laundry to high-end textile restoration. But before we get into the how, I want to tackle the why. Because on the surface, this sounds like a huge headache. You're dealing with smoke, mold, water damage. Why would anyone want that in their shop?
Well, it comes down to the unit economics and the client type. In a standard laundromat, you're dealing with B2C, business to consumer.
Hundreds of different customers to make a profit.
You need so many customers. Restoration is B2B, business to business. You're partnering with companies like ServPro or ServiceMaster.
Ah, okay. The folks who show up after a fire or a flood.
Yes, they fix the building, they do drywall, they do flooring, they do not do laundry.
So they need a partner.
They need a partner. And the brain dump notes we have describe this perfectly. Logistically, it's actually easier in some ways.
How?
Instead of 50 people dropping off 50 small bags, you have one restoration company dropping off a literal truckload.
Yeah.
One-stop bulk pickup.
Yeah.
But the revenue per pound is, well, significantly higher.
Let's talk about that revenue. The guide mentions markups of 30 to 50% over standard rates. That sounds great, but I have to play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
If I'm an insurance adjuster, why am I paying a laundromat a 50% premium just to wash some shirts? It just seems excessive.
It seems excessive if you think the job is just washing. But you have to look at the hidden costs, the liability.
Okay.
A shirt from a house fire isn't just dirty. It's saturated with soot, which is oily and acidic. It smells like smoke, which is a molecular bond, not just a surface scent.
So if you just throw it in a regular wash with Tide.
You could set the stain forever,
Right.
or worse, lock in the smell. You're charging for the expertise to save something that most people would just throw away.
Yeah.
And just as important, you're charging for speed and for accountability.
Accountability, what do you mean?
Think about the context. A family have lost their home. They're in a hotel with nothing.
Yeah.
If you lose a sock or ruin a wedding dress, it's not an oops, here's a coupon situation
It's a lawsuit.
or a claim denial at the very least. You are managing a crisis, not just doing chores. That is what justifies the premium.
Okay, that makes sense. You're being paid for risk mitigation as much as for the cleaning itself. So let's get into the how. This is the part that I think scares people. The technical side. The master guide calls it the triple threat protocol.
This is the secret sauce.
Oh.
If you want to charge restoration prices, you have to deliver restoration results. It's a 3-stage wash protocol, and you cannot skip steps.
Walk us through it. Stage 1, the breakdown. Now, is this just a fancy word for soaking?
It's a lot more aggressive than soaking. Soot is carbon, but in a fire, it's mixed with plastics,
Yeah.
grease, it's sticky.
Right.
If you just throw detergent on it, the water might not even penetrate the soot. The breakdown phase uses specific chemistry to lift that heavy, oily gunk off the fibers. You have to get physical particulate off before you can actually clean the fabric underneath.
Okay, so you've stripped the gunk.
Yeah.
Stage 2, the neutralizer. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? But this is where the amateurs fail. You know how sometimes you wash something that smells like smoke and it smells fine out of the dryer?
But 2 days later, the smell comes back, the ghost smell.
Yes. That's because you used a masking agent, like a perfume, not a neutralizer. Smoke smell comes from odor molecules that bond to the fabric.
Uh-huh.
The neutralizer uses a chemical counteractant. It doesn't mask the smell. It seeks out those carbon molecules and chemically breaks the bond. It's like microscopic chemical warfare.
And if you skip this...
You're just hiding the odor temporarily. It'll always come back.
Okay. And finally, stage 3, the purge.
The purge is all about pH balancing and sanitization. The chemicals in the first two stages are heavy-duty. They can leave the fabric with a high pH, which can irritate skin or damage the fibers. The purge brings the pH back to neutral, so it's soft and safe. And it sanitizes, which is, non-negotiable if you're dealing with floodwater.
Speaking of the process, there's one rule in the guide that is bolded, underlined, practically shouted, the heat lock rule. Why is heat the enemy here?
This is the golden rule.
Huh.
Never, ever, ever dry an item that still smells of smoke.
Okay, why?
It's thermodynamics. When you heat a fiber cotton, polyester, whatever, it expands. The pores of the material literally open up.
Yeah.
If there are still odor molecules on that surface, they slip deep inside those open pores. Then, as the dryer cools down, the fiber contracts.
Trapping the smell inside. Forever.
Exactly. You've essentially tattooed that smell into the core of the fabric. Once you heat lock a smoke odor, it is almost impossible to get out. You've ruined the garment.
So the rule is sniff test everything while it's still wet.
Everything. If it smells, it goes back to stage one. If you dry it, you just bought it.
That's a high-stakes game of sniff testing. Really shows why you can't just have your teenager running this shift on a Saturday.
Precisely.
The guide also has this technical cheat sheet for assessment because not all damage is the same. I was surprised by the difference between protein fires and synthetic fires.
It's crucial for choosing the right chemicals. A protein fire is usually from a kitchen, burnt food, grease. It leaves this sticky, yellowish residue.
And it smells awful, I imagine.
Rancid. It's very hard to cut through. Synthetic fires are more common now because our homes are full of plastic, foam, polyester carpets. When that burns, it creates a black, smeary, toxic soot.
Like shoe polish.
Yeah, it smears if you touch it. And the chemistry you need to break down burnt plastic is totally different from what you need for burnt grease. Use the wrong one, and you just make the stain permanent.
There's also a really serious warning in there about the no-go zone. We're not just talking about tough stains anymore.
No, this is a massive liability point. The guide is crystal clear. If the intake involves asbestos or active uncontained biohazard, it's a hard stop. Full stop.
Why is that such a firm line? Can't you just use stronger chemicals?
Absolutely not. You're operating a facility that processes other people's clothes. If you bring in asbestos fibers, you can contaminate your machines, your folding tables, your air ducts, everything.
Wow. You could be liable for contaminating every other customer's laundry.
For months. And with biohazards, we're talking bloodborne pathogens. You are putting your staff at incredible risk unless you are specifically certified for that work. The guide says you demand a professional clearance certificate before that stuff even enters your parking lot.
That's a great point. It protects the core business. Okay, so this is technically demanding. You need the chemistry, the discipline. Let's pivot to the business side, because if you can't get the phone to ring, it doesn't matter. This is where the AI for Laundromats project comes in with Rosie and Bella.
This is where we bridge that gap between being a laundromat owner and a restoration partner. Rosie and Bella are AI assistants, but they aren't just programmed for store hours. They are trained on thousands of restoration calls.
I want to kind of role play this because the script flip is brilliant. Usually I call a laundromat, I ask how much per pound. They say $1.50, end of conversation.
Right, but the AI here refuses to play that game. It shifts it from a retail transaction to professional consultation.
So I call and say, hi, I have a bunch of smoke-damaged clothes from a fire. The AI doesn't give a price. It starts asking these adjuster-friendly questions.
Correct. Question 1. Type of loss. Fire, water, or mold.
Why does that matter right away?
It signals competence. It tells the caller, I know these are different problems. It builds instant trust.
Question 2. Volume. Bags or rooms?
Logistics. But
Yeah.
it also helps the AI estimate the potential value of the claim.
Now, question 3 is my favorite. It's the sales hook. The blue bag need. Explain this. Why is a blue bag so important?
The blue bag is the 72-hour emergency turnaround for the homeowner's essential clothes. Think about the psychology here. You're an insurance adjuster. You have a family. They're yelling at you because they have no underwear, no work clothes, and they're living in a hotel.
The adjuster is stressed.
The adjuster's incredibly stressed. So if you can say, we will have 1 week's worth of essential clothes for that family washed, folded, and back to their hotel within 72 hours, you aren't just washing clothes. You are handing the adjuster a peace offering.
You make the adjuster look like a hero.
You make them a hero. And that is why they hire you again and again. It is empathy weaponized as a business strategy.
That's profound. You're not selling clean shirts. You're selling a relieved adjuster.
Precisely. And the fourth question seals it. Claim info. Getting the claim number and the adjuster's name right away.
And the AI handles this whole flow automatically.
It does. It flags the call as a priority restoration claim. And this is the really cool part. It automatically emails the master service agreement, the MSA, and the restoration rate card to the caller right then and there.
Let's pause on the MSA, the Master Service Agreement. Why not just a handshake or a regular receipt?
Operating without an MSA in this business it's financial suicide.
Really?
Yeah. It protects you from pre-existing damage liability. Remember, you're getting clothes that have been through a fire. They might be scorched, weakened. Without an MSA, a homeowner could claim you burned their shirt in your dryer.
I see.
The MSA also sets the payment terms, so you aren't chasing checks for 6 months.
The guide also mentions a billing hook for the AI. Bill the restoration company, not the homeowner.
That removes all the friction. The homeowner's traumatized. They don't want another bill. The restoration company is already set up to pass these costs to the insurance carrier. You just fit into their workflow. You become easy to work with.
So we've got the WASH protocol, the AI intake. Now for the final piece, the paperwork. Because in insurance, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen.
This is where the professional power moves come in. And the biggest one, which I think is counterintuitive for most business owners, is the total loss report.
I found this so fascinating. Usually, if a laundromat can't clean a stain, they just hand it back and say, sorry, we tried.
Right. Here's your dirty shirt back. That doesn't fly in restoration. In this model, if an item can't be saved, you don't just hand it back. You generate a total loss report. It's a professional document detailing exactly why it's a loss. Item 402, silk blouse. Acidic soot damage caused fiber degradation. Unsalvageable.
So wait, telling the customer I failed is actually a value add.
In the insurance world, absolutely, because the adjuster needs that piece of paper. They need a third-party professional to certify that the item is dead so they can justify paying the homeowner for a replacement.
You're not admitting failure, you're providing proof.
You are providing a proof required to close that line item on the claim. You're helping the money flow.
That is a complete mindset shift. You're an expert witness.
Correct. And that ties into photo protocols. Before and after shots aren't for your website. They are your proof of service. Documentation is currency. You need photos of the damage when it comes in and photos of the restored item. Without them, the carrier can just deny the payment.
One last thing on the admin side was the mention of Xactimate. I've heard this in construction, but why does a laundromat owner need to care about it?
Xactimate is the software almost all insurance adjusters use. It's their native language.
Yep.
If you send an invoice that just says, washing $50, the adjuster has to manually figure out how to code that and enter it. It slows everything down. But if your invoice uses their codes like CLTHWSH for light cleaning, their system recognizes it instantly.
Zip approved faster.
Much faster.
Yeah.
It's about lowering the friction for the person who writes the checks.
It's all about mimicking the giants. You're a local business acting like a big corporate partner.
That's the whole strategy. Use the MSA to protect yourself legally, use the AI to act professionally, and use the billing codes to get paid quickly. It's tightening up the ship, just like the brain dump said.
It seems like the barrier to entry here isn't really money, it's discipline.
I would agree with that 100%. Any laundromat has the washers. You can buy the chemicals. But do you have the discipline to follow the heat lock rule every single time? Do you have the discipline to fill out that total loss report correctly? That's the real challenge.
And that's the difference between being a fluff and fold and a restoration partner.
Exactly. It's a transition from a commodity service to a professional one.
Right.
From washing clothes for quarters to managing a crisis for high margins.
To wrap up here, let's talk about the opportunity. What does a truckload of laundry actually look like in dollars compared to a busy Saturday of walk-ins?
It's transformative. A busy Saturday might bring in, what, a few $100s? Maybe $1,000 if you're really lucky.
Right.
A single moderate house fire claim can be anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000.
Wow.
You land 1 or 2 of those a month, and you've completely changed the financial trajectory of your business. But, and I have to stress this, only if you do it right. Screw it up, and that phone will never ring again.
It feels incredibly empowering. You know, you look at this master guide and the AI tools and you realize, I don't have to just wait for people to walk in with hampers. I can go out and get this business.
It puts the control back in the operator's hands. You're building B2B relationships inside your B2C shop.
Nicholas Gomez and the team at Super Kleen really seem to have cracked the code here.
By combining the technical SOPs, the chemistry, with the modern AI tools, they've removed the 2 biggest hurdles. How do I clean it, and how do I sell it?
So let's bring it home. What's the big takeaway for a listener who owns a laundromat or is thinking about it?
The takeaway is that your equipment is capable of so much more than you think, but only if your mindset changes first. This is an accessible goldmine, but it is not passive income. It's active, professional problem solving. If you adopt the standards, you can stop competing on price and start competing on value.
Leveraging the assets you already have to solve a bigger, more expensive problem.
That's the definition of business strategy.
I love it. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. It's been a fascinating look at how dirty laundry can turn into a clean profit if you have the right chemicals and the right code.
And the right attitude.
Always. So I'll leave you with this thought to mull over. You've got the washers, you've got the AI script, and you know the chemistry exists. Are you ready to stop being just a laundromat and start being a restoration partner? The chemicals and the AI are ready. Are you?
That's the question.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.